Welcome back to the Citizen Channel. Hope you're all staying safe and well. And part 3 of our look at Raheem Sterling from 2015 to 2022 at City. As I'm recording this, Chelsea haven't officially unveiled him yet, but he's more or less I've been told he's been gone. So if I'm doing this and he's stayed and he's come back, that's how it is. So anyway, please enjoy part 3 and check out part 1 and 2. And we've got up to the Champions League final, of course, of the 2021 season. Interesting, of course. He's doing well. Raheem has done excellently well, certainly in the last 3 seasons. He's not even done that badly this season, but compared to perhaps 2 or 3 seasons before, not quite at his best. As City weren't at the best for most of the season, of course, with the various things, and Liverpool obviously running away with the COVID season title. So here we go, part 3. Let's have a look. Despite previous lack of game time, this is where we get to the Champions League final. And Raheem hadn't been playing that often. He played some games early doors, but obviously recently Pep had been resting and put him on the bench quite a lot. And he wasn't in the best of form anyway. But Pep decided on starting Sterling in this Champions League final on the 29th of May against Chelsea. To say it was a bit of a shock was an understatement. Even the Manchester Evening News didn't even have him on the front cover of their final preview, where they had 8 players, images of 8 players. He wasn't even on that. I mean, inside the editorial said didn't expect Raheem to play in the final, and I would say 99% of the fans, perhaps more, even more than that, didn't expect him to play in the final either. And of course, the actual ramifications, we lost 1-0 against Chelsea, and sadly Sterling was as culpable as the rest of the team. He was pretty useless as the rest of the team. And obviously Pep had squoze him in without and sort of give way on a recognised DM starting the game. So obviously we know Pep overthink these things. So did he do it there? Possibly, but certainly Raheem Sterling wasn't in the sort of form, and Pep hadn't been playing him in Champions League games. He hadn't put that responsibility on him, so it's very, very unusual. So anyway, Raheem and the rest of the team finished up losing that Champions League final. In King of the Kipats, issue 279, yes, there's quite a long, in-depth thing on Sterling, so I wanted to read most of it out to you. A very accurate feel of what the fans thought and what the King of the Kipaks, what the contributors thought, I think, at the time, and some of which still echoed into the 2021-2 season, of course. So I'll read you a little excerpt from King of the Kipaks 279 on Sterling. Is the end of season report. Okay, deep breath, here we go. There probably isn't a player in the squad at the moment who polarises opinion quite like Sterling. On the one hand, there are those who regard him as a world-class talent with fantastic stats, and on the other, there are those who regard him as something of a headless chicken with an uncanny knack of tripping himself up. My own opinion is that football seldom supports such binary positions, and accordingly, there is evidence to suggest that Raheem Sterling is neither one thing nor the other, but rather both. He has very strong aspects to his game, but he also has some decidedly weak ones. What I think has changed most this season, if you accept as many do, that he has been well below his best for most of the last 12 months. It's not so much that Raheem has undergone a slump in both form born of my personal reason, but rather that the system we had in place 2 years ago with Sane hugging the left, good point, and Sterling the right, a razor-sharp Aguero twixt the two, and Dave poking exquisitely angled and controlled passes in behind even the most deep-lying and organised his defences, suited Raz down to the ground and allowed him to play to his strengths, i.e. superbly timed runs, fizzing little darts past bewildered fullbacks, intricate 1-2s, lightning counters and clever drawing of free kicks and penalties, whereas the current MO manifestly does not. Missed a little bit about some personal stuff. I'll carry on with this. Furthermore, there's also the issue of confirmation bias. It's an accepted narrative now that the more time Raheem has to convert a one-on-one chance with the opposition's keeper. Yeah, we talked about that in the very first end of season report on his first season. The bigger the mess he'll make of it, and that the groans of effing hell Sterling from all quarters when he does that stand as testament to his uselessness. That narrative, however, overlooks the reality that most of the rest of the City team is every bit as rubbish converting those kind of opportunities as well. Jesus, KDB, Mahrez, Bernardo, even Kev, they're all poor at it. And it's the same with spot kicks. A popular wisdom is that if your life depended on a City player converting a penalty, the last person you'd want taking it is Raheem Sterling. And personally, I broke no particular argument with that school of thought. Mishit scuffs, amateurish balloons over the bar have become his stock in trade from 12 yards. But again, however, he is not unique in this regard. Gunders, Jesus, even Sergio, they all inspire equal little confidence, yet none gets held to the same standard as Raheem when it comes to subsequent criticism. Very good point, full points. That lot then I offer up in the way of mitigation. The other side of the coin, this is a mere opinion, not statement of fact, is that in terms of either technique or a fundamental disconnect between the speed of his feet and the speed of his brain, he seems hopelessly flawed at times. It isn't that he doesn't convert one-on-ones, it's that he never seems to get a shot away. You can almost hear the cogs whirring as he hesitates, tries to cut back inside, and then when the keeper doesn't buy it, tries to go outside again. Only now there's the covering defender in the way as well, so cuts back inside and again duly runs the ball harmlessly onto the keeper's shins. You can also see it in the passes he makes to overlapping fullbacks, either putting them right under his teammates' feet so that all momentum is killed in an instant, or clouting them miles too hard out over the dead ball line. And also in the crosses that find their way to him 6 yards out of the goal gaping. But he then somehow catches, not with his instep, but that part of the inside of his foot between his ankle and his Achilles. Generally speaking, there's no doubt that over the course of the last 4 years, he's been worth the effort and investment. Indeed, his numbers have been extraordinarily good, but the complicating factor right now is the matter of a new contract. It's worth noting that Sterling is not the alleged architect of ongoing talks, but rather the club is, presumably because they're concerned about the possibility of a lucrative asset running down his existing deal and leaving on a free in 2 years' time. However, the dilemma is that Raz is a high earner and his retention would involve considerable financial commitment over the next 5 or 6 years in wages. If we're intending to revert to plan A in the long term and buy a centre forward with some power and pace and some legs in the engine room, something that Rodri, Gunders, Ferner and Bernie all lack, so that Raheem can operate high up the pitch, running at isolated fullbacks into the box, drawing penalties and generally creating havoc, then it's a no-brainer. We make the commitment and pay him his dues. If, however, Pep's intention is to continue his last season's plan B, where not only refrain from breaking at pace, but actively slow play down until we can methodically get all 10 outfield players up into our opponent's half, with the corollary being that Raheem is then doubled up on and forced to run from deep into crowded areas, something that all too frequently results in him losing possession. Then there might be some soul searching to be done. Personally, I fully expect Raheem to still be a City player again next season. He's talking about the season just gone. So he has attributes, particularly pace and the ability to run in behind an opposition team. Sadly, lacking in the rest of the City squad. I just hope that we resolve to play to those strengths again going forward, though, because the repetition of some of the poor form of this season just gone would be of no use to anyone. So I read that out because obviously we move forward to the final season as well. But just to finish off the season 2021, League champions, Carabao Cup winners, again, another double, could have been better. Personal stats, 28 league starts, 3 as a substitute, and still a good 10 goals and 8 assists, that was good. In the Cups, 13 starts, 5 as substitute, 4 goals and 4 assists. So again, even though he'd not had a great season, it was still fine. On to 21-22 season. Crowds are back. Hey, there we go. We see Sterling in the flesh for one last season, don't we? No Community Shield outing for Sterling, so straight into an opening day defeat at Tottenham. No surprise there, but interesting to see he and new boy Greaves actually linked up okay on the left. Yeah, a bit slow, but they linked up okay. Raheem had put the cat amongst the pigeons by announcing he would have to consider a move if he wasn't playing regularly, and the introduction of Grealish, of course, didn't help in that for him playing down his left-hand side. He scored his first of the season, the very next game, a home game, a 5-0 win over Norwich, coming off the bench for Torres for the last 30 minutes, and was on the score sheet again a week later off the bench at a 5-0 win over Arsenal. They were scoring goals for fun, weren't they, at that stage? He played his 200th Premier League appearance. He made his 200th Premier League appearance off the bench yet again for City in a dreary 0-0 at Southampton on the 18th of September. As City bowed out the Carabao Cup on pens at the London Stadium, Sterling missed a great chance from a header as the game neared its end. Yes, I was behind that. I groaned. I think you could hear the groan back in Manchester. But chances were missed by other players as well that night. And he'd actually set up a couple for other players that had been fluffed as well. So it's a bit unfair to blame it all on him, but he had a great chance to score a goal right at the end. Sterling was a bit in and out, but added a couple of Champions League goals against PSG and Brugge, but would finally get some goal scoring towards the end of November as City as well finally woke up. So, interestingly enough, Sterling woke up, City woke up. His goals against Everton on 21st of November was followed by another 5 goals in 6 games, plus an assist leading up to New Year's Day. And during this one, Sterling scored his 100th Premier League goal. Only 32 had done this before. A penalty. He'd missed his previous 3, but he took it, scoring the only goal of the game in a 1-0 home win against Wolves on the 11th of December 2021. So he scored 18 for Liverpool and 82 for City for his 100 as the City hit top spots in the league. Sterling was later bestowed with the Premier League Player of the Month award for December 2021, which was fully justified at the time. But the goals would dry up the same way. And the game away at the Saint Southampton on the 22nd of January, Sterling was poor again, rating just 3 out of 10. A bit mean. I didn't give him that low myself from Stuart Brennan, the Manchester Evening News. But Raheem managed another hat-trick on the 12th of February. He always bounced back, didn't he, at some stage, in a 4-0 away win at Norwich. Okay, not the best looking 3 goals. I was there that day. They were a bit scrawpy, to say the least. I think one was a rebounded penalty, wasn't it, where it was saved and he put in the rebound. But they all count. But then the more puzzlement about him signing a new contract was raised with Pep. Yes, it was like, why is he not signing? What's he doing, Pep? And all Pep would say, well, it wasn't his bit, it wasn't not to do with him. He was in the dark about Sterling signing other contracts as everyone else was. He could just pick the team and pick him to play if and when he was available. And with his goal, Sterling's goal in the 5-0 UEFA Champions League round of 16, first leg away win against Sporting on the 15th of Feb, Sterling entered into the top 10 of all-time Manchester City goal scorers, so no mean feat. As the Champions League reached its latter stages, Sterling again was not starting games as he did in the season before when we reached the final. And in the semi-final was a sub in both games, coming on for just 7 minutes and 21 minutes respectively in each leg against Real Madrid, as City failed to reach the second final in 2 years. But with the title going down to the wire, Sterling did his bit, didn't he? He scored in the Wolves and Newcastle games and helped City, of course, turn that game around wondrously. Probably one of our man of the matches, even though he wasn't on very long in that climatic final game against Aston Villa. Sterling hadn't been there. Could we have done it? Who knows? Someone would have been there, but no, fantastic from Sterling. So when we needed him at that point, he came good. In the final match day programme, before this game, Dr. Gary James paid a fitting tribute, I think, to Sterling, which is a good thing to nearly finish on today. So I'll just go to his excerpt on Gary James. Although we may celebrate odd goals and moments, we don't often celebrate the achievements of our players while they are playing, especially as we know we have a squad of talented players helping the club challenge for success. However, I think it's worth pausing to recognise the achievements of Raheem Sterling during his time at City. Sterling is now the second highest scorer for City in the modern era. For years, our top 10 goal scorers of all time list was fairly static. In fact, before Aguero, the most recent player to enter our top 10 goal scorers chart was Colin Bell, who had followed Francis Lee to the table around 50 years ago. Aguero, of course, is our number 1 goal scorer of all time now, followed by 1930 star Eric Brook, Tommy Johnson, and then Colin Bell. At the same time, we're going to press Sterling is 11th in the list after scoring 131 City goals. He made the top 10. Gary. Only one behind Billy Gillespie and Fred Tilson, our joint 9th highest goal scorers. We really should celebrate the career statistics of Sterling. It's an amazing achievement to have eclipsed all but the current top 10 prior to today's game. I'm sure some critics will say, but how does his scoring ratio compare? Well, sadly, for the majority of players in City's top 10, we're unable to have accurate statistics on the numbers of minutes played to allow a direct comparison. But we do have goals per game ratio statistics. Sterling's goals to game ratio is 0.388, which is better than Colin Bell's of 0.305 and also Eric Brooks of 0.359. Not too shabby then, especially when you consider the nature of modern-day squad football. Meant that Sterling either came on as a substitute or was substituted in over 150 of his 338 games. It ended up as 339, didn't it? So, Dr. Gary James said he wasn't in the top 10 then, but I'm hoping that this fact was right, that he's now in the top 10. Well, I thought that was very interesting from Dr. Gary James. I think it summed up Raheem Sterling, and certainly even in that last season, he did do very, very well. So for me, his honours, of course, a league title, a Premier League, just a Premier League that season, nothing else. His personal stats, so again, still good. League appearances, 23, so a bit down, 7 as substitute, 13 goals with 6 assists. That's 19, that's not bad, is it? In the Cup, 9 appearances, 8 as sub, 4 goals and 3 assists. Again, not a total disaster by any means. And as I'm recording this, it's reported that Sterling's agreed personal terms for a move to Chelsea and had his medical and everything. But as I'm doing this, it probably changed now you're watching it, but it's not been totally confirmed with pictures yet. But there you go. Well, there you go. Thank you, Raheem. It was a pleasure. Yes, occasionally frustrating, certainly in the latter time. But yeah, my little player ratings for last season had him next to bottom of the guys who qualified. So yeah, he didn't have a great season in my eyes, but you look back at these things, you do realise he's still contributing, still got a lot of goals and a lot of assists as well. So even though he hadn't played that well, he was still doing bits, and that's all we can say. But if you look at the 3 or 4 seasons, after that first couple of seasons, he was terrific, absolutely terrific. And just a key part, of course, in our final in getting that title last season, which without him, who knows? As I said, especially that Aston Villa game. I have no doubt, like Gabriel Jesus before him, will return and punish us. I have no doubt about that, and I'll be sad. It is, but so I am sad to see him go. But it's probably an idea that it's probably is. He perhaps could have gone last season. I think would have maybe been better for him and City, but more for him because I think he's sort of just treaded water for this season. But my thanks and best wishes go to him for his future. And please, Raheem, don't torment us too much over the coming years because we've got quite a few years left in you, haven't you, mate? So, but I'd like to say thank you to him. Hope you guys agreed. All right, will he be a legend? There's a lot of arguments on social media. Not a legend, but what a servant, a great servant, a great player. And I say at least 3 quality seasons, and debates over whether he had 4 or 5 quality seasons in total. So anyway, all the best, Raheem, mate. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please let me know your memories of Raheem Sterling. It'd be great to hear from you. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this little 3-part series on Raheem Sterling, City 2015 to 2022. So we'll meet again. I know that's one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.